Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Liezel joining us here. Exciting to have my teen life coach with us. And we need to be here for our friends at all times. So tell me a little bit about what you do. And I know you're going through some stuff with your kids too, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm also curious as to how your homework went this week with screen time conversations.
They haven't been on the iPad since Sunday.
Oh,
I took
that's
them
awesome.
away, and they don't miss it. After 2 days, they really don't miss it, which is the coolest thing.
Good job. Good job,
Thank
Mama.
you.
So yeah, I am Liezel. I'm a professional teen resilience coach and a mom of teens and the founder of my teen life coach. .com. We use evidence-based strategies to guide kids to thrive and not just survive through pro-social and tailored tools.
Oh.
And I guess I should say the website, www.myteenlifecoach.com.
Fantastic. And looking forward to our conversation for today, which is what specifically?
Yeah, so last week I thought it was a pretty left brain conversation because we were talking about social media and screen time and all that stuff. But this last week I've actually gone through mama stuff myself, and I figured this is a really good time for me just to have a conversation with moms. So sorry, dads, but today it's about moms.
Oh, that's okay. Let's figure it out.
Yep.
Where do we start? Tell us what happened.
Oh, okay. So, well, here's the thing. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I was like, okay. Okay, so it's summer, right? And we know that with summertime, there is no school to distract. There's no running around, taking kids to places and being worried and, nagging about homework and stuff like that. And with my kids and also with the kids that I'm coaching right now, there's I just feel really called to speak as a mom and having this reflection time over summer, watching our kids go through it, right? So last week we talked about how kids are alone, like lonely, but not alone. They're busy, but they're not busy. There's all this paradox going on in their lives. And I'm feeling that watching my kids go through it. And it gave me pause because I was like, it's giving me time to really reflect about my own mothering and how your own vulnerability kind of calls for you to come to terms with your mindfulness as a parent, right? So I was not able to sleep last night because I was just worrying. And I was like, what is it about my mothering? What is my parenting in hindsight, right? So my kids are now 16, 19, and 21. And I was just finding myself really questioning how I did it. My teens struggled just because I'm a teen life coach and a psychologist. My kids struggled just like all the others do. And I'm a 20th century parent with 21st century children. And I know that, how they grew up was unique. And I had challenges because there was all this pressure, like, oh my gosh, I want a laptop, I want a phone. Well, we need it for school now because I'm in tag classes. Yep. And I had this enormous sense of pressure, even though my gut was like, no, there's all kinds of wrong about this. It doesn't feel balanced to me yet. The pressure made me give into a lot of different things, right? So yeah, of course I'm lying in bed and I'm thinking to myself, these are the questions. And every mother will relate to this. Where did I go wrong? What did I miss? I wish I ... or I should have ... or why didn't I, why didn't I stand up for what I believed felt wrong? Why did I allow, the neighbors and the parents, the other moms to talk me into different ways of being with my kid and not really follow what my true values and beliefs were? And I kind of just took a moment and I was thinking, when I decided to become a mom, I didn't start with the intention of like, oh, I'm going to be a mom and I'm going to be the crappiest mom. And you can imagine, like we don't go with that intention. We have the intention of, I am going to be this excellent mom. But none of us know what that means. Like I still didn't get what it meant as a mom. And so I had to stop for a moment and get up and cry and do my thing. And then I had to invite in the self-compassion, right? Like we do what we do the best that we can with the information that is available to us. And what I feel I was ignorant to as a mother of young kiddos into now, creating habits that brought them into the teen life that they have now is that I was kind of unconsciously parenting. I was flowing with the pressure of the day, and there was no mindfulness, or there wasn't enough mindfulness on my side. And because of that, I, in reflection, feel like I was parenting from a space of ego versus heart versus mindfulness. And I was talking to my son late last night, and he gave me some unbelievable insight. And that's the other thing, is we forget how smart these kids are, that they see so much. But he said to me, Mom, you overcompensated too much. You were divorced, you were traumatized, you were felt abandonment as a child. You had all these inner child issues, and you completely overcompensated on the other side because of your own traumas. And then you stretched yourself too thin. You were putting everybody else first. You did not take care of yourself. And then you got defensive and feisty and positional about stuff, right? And like, God bless him. I was like, holy crap, you are absolutely right. So after the conversation, I was like, okay, let me just like dig a little deeper, right? So when he said, okay, you put everyone before you, and that meant that in those moments where I had an opportunity to coach to a legitimate parenting style, I didn't. So here's an example. Last week, I talked about the different parenting stages. There's 5 different parenting stages, right? So if you just think about this, from 0 to 6, it's appropriate to be a micromanager of your children, right? Because you're primarily taking, saving them, like holding them safe, feeding them, etc. So micromanaging is really creating the boundaries with your kids. So I looked at that and I was like, okay, check. I felt like I did that really well. Then from ages 6 to 12, you're supposed to be like what we call the policeman, right? So like here's right, here's wrong. These are the consequences when you don't do X, Y, and Z. I skipped that because when they were between 6 and 12 years old, I was going through a horrible divorce. I was a single parent. I had to have a nanny to help me. I was an executive at a Fortune 500 company. I was traveling all over the world at the same time. And I delegated that out to a nanny. Okay, granted, she was fabulous. She was great, all of those good things. But I had to delegate my values and my beliefs. So that got missed, and my kids felt it, even though nobody realized at the time, right? Then from 12 to 18 years old, let's say, you now become the supervisor. So that would be like the next parenting style. So supervisor is, okay, you do this, then you get that. It's an equation, right? You do your chores, you get extra time. You meet your curfew time, I'll trust you to take the car out more. Those types of things. I skipped that too. Because what I did was I went straight to the next 2 levels of parenting, which is being a coach and a consultant. That's only supposed to happen from 18 years onwards. I was already going into coach/consulting, I'm going to be your friend mode between that like 12 to 18 years stage. And so I then went back and I was thinking to these stories. So tell me if you've done any of these things. I would get a text message from school, forgot my lunch. What did I do? I saved them, ran their lunch to school, right? Left my agenda. Mom, you forgot to sign the agenda, right? What did I do? I quickly signed it, ran it over to school. So I didn't follow through on what that parenting stage was supposed to be. I was giving them insurance. So
enabling? Can I say enabling?
Enabling, yeah,
Okay.
like false insurance, right? So okay, then there was like middle school, fake sick notes. Why? Because I didn't want them to have a tardy or didn't go to school on their school record.
Yeah.
So again, enabled them, right? Then because of the whole technology, we want cell phones, my friends have cell phones, why can't I have a cell phone? Blah, blah, blah. Because I was so busy with work, because I was so busy to try to provide and blah, 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 all these things, I used those as babysitters. Let's just face it. Okay, now give all that be true, Jill, like I'm a great mom, right? So, but it was those little things, like the failures came in the details. And then I never put curfews on. Why? Because I was already at coach and consultant parent stage. I didn't create those consequences. And so I found I kind of created this word, was like flip-flop parenting, because on the days that I was tired and stressed, I would then be all Miss Supervisor and Miss Policeman. And then on the days that I wasn't, then I was all let's be friends and let's break all the rules and, that kind of thing. So this is confession time for me.
None of us are perfect. Are you kidding me? And I'm in the thick of it with the 5 and 7-year-old, and I'm making poor choices and giving them the iPad to shut them up so I could get work done. And, I took it away from them finally the other day. And then you know what happened? I go into school. I bring one to the bus stop in the morning. And then the other one I have to take to pre-K, or the sitter does, depending on what time I start work. Yeah. And normally when the one goes on the bus, that means I have an hour free to clean up, to do whatever, if I give him the iPad, and I haven't done it. So I had to go out. And so every day now he wants to go ride bikes and play. So now that hour that I usually get things done, I'm grinding my teeth and I'm not in a good mood because I'm in the cars with him and I'm playing and I'm like, but I have to get so much done this my only time. So part of me wants to give him the iPad back so I could have an hour to myself, but I haven't yet, but I want to.
That's it. That's exactly it. We didn't intend to be like, nobody's perfect, but we didn't intend for this to happen when we decided to have kids, right? And yet, like now I feel like, we carry our own guilt and our own shame and our own like ways of doing it. And, I was like, I don't want to just talk about the problem. I also want to have the solutions. I want to be able to use my voice as, okay, here's what I learned, but here's also what I'm learning how to do better, right? So I came up with 6 reflections that I thought maybe I could share. And I love that your kids are younger than mine, because maybe you'll get to do the things that I didn't get to do. But I was like, you know what? If I were to create, like, here's the 6 most important things that I wish I would have known back then, I want to share that with whoever, right?
Great.
Okay, so here it is. I think that moms, dads, parents, they really need to take those 5 stages of parenting seriously. Back then, or back even before, there weren't enough books, there weren't audibles, there weren't a lot of those things, but that's available to us now. We have no excuse to not be studying how to be a parent. Yep. We should be studying to be the best parent or leader in our kids' life, just as much as we study how to be good at our job or at getting whatever next certification we're getting. We need to take the time and actually study those things. And I wish I did more of that. I think that if we want our kids to be happy and safe, we have to come to terms with the fact that we can't do it for them, cannot do it for them. We have to teach them how to do it for themselves. And that means If you leave your agenda at home, that's tough. If you left your lunch at home, borrow from your friend. If you're having a sad day, be sad. If you're bored, then be bored. But they need those kids are wired to survive. And by the way, thrive. It's already in them. It's our enabling of them that robs them of taking risks, making mistakes, and failing successfully, right? And so I want, for me now, I want to do a better job of, allowing them to find their happiness within their own resourcefulness.
Wow.
And the other thing is that whole they're already wired. Kids take risks. They want to ride that bike. They want to climb that tree. They want to go out with these friends to an unknown place when they're 16 years old. They want to go drive in the parking lot without mom and dad there or whatever, because that's what they're wired to do. They're supposed to be taking risks so that they can make mistakes, so that they can fail and then learn from it. Wow. But if we're like plowing and helicoptering over them all the time, they're not going to learn those skills. Then what happens, Jill? The anxiety, the social anxiety, all that stuff starts to grow. It's like a bacteria that grows, So appropriate risks and learning how to fail successfully, I want them to have more of those opportunities. And last night when I was talking to my son, I was like, oh my gosh, like every part of me wants to just fly and come and get you. And he literally had to push me back and he said, you cannot do that. You have to leave me alone. That is really hard, really hard for you to hear that from your child, right? But they know what's right for them when it comes down to it. So I am going to make every mom have homework this week. And that is to find time this summer to connect, to be present. And don't give me excuses that, they're just in their room all the time. No, we are just as resourceful as they are. You know that kid, you birthed that kid. Tell them stories of reminding them what they were like when they were children. Go to the photos of when they were kids and tell them stories of how strong and resilient they used to be. They're so talented. They know how to thrive in the 21st century. We don't. And they can actually educate us. Like spend time on Instagram with them and TikTok and go through this stuff with them, right? So social media doesn't have to be the enemy here, but engage in it with them.
With them, okay.
In the time, like in that 30 minutes of time or whatever, right? Like that impulse that you had was like, what's the worst thing that can happen if you don't spend that hour working and you just be fully present? What's the worst thing that can happen? Only good can really come of it, right?
Yeah.
So that mindfulness as a parent, like I get up in the mornings now and I say to myself, how can I be a mindful parent today? Just today. How can I just be mindful today? I think that moms and kids deserve and are worthy of abundance in their lives with each other. And we have to set that example, right? So come to the conversation mindfully, come to the discipline and the consequences mindfully. It's like you have an intention that is for the greater good.
Yeah.
And I had this really interesting thought. I don't know, maybe some people will be grossed out by it, but it was like, we gave birth to them and we literally breathe life into them. And we can also birth the facilitation of their next life.
Yeah.
We have that power as moms.
Yeah.
So it's like, bring your warmth, bring your genuineness, bring your vulnerability, like be vulnerable with your kids and be sincere with your kids. Like it's okay to say to them, you know what? I want to spend this hour working, but I know that I should be spending that hour being with you. I'm struggling with that.
Yes.
Right?
It's so true.
Like how about just saying it out loud? you know? So like my heart feels heavy today.
Mm.
But I feel like it's heaviness with a purpose. And I am 100% certain that I'm not the only person feeling it.
You are not alone. I think every parent out there who's listening can relate. Yeah, feeling guilty and doing more than we should and enabling.
Right, because like I don't want them to suffer like I did, but it was because of my suffering that I became as successful as I did.
True.
I don't want them to, be scared at school. Well, it was
Yeah.
because I used to be scared at school that it gave me the resilience and the grit to make it through tougher times. How can we be robbing them of this? It's like, this is not good for anybody, right? So it's kind of like I want to the call to action really is you got to do some reflection as a parent. How did I enable some of the things that I'm experiencing as a parent with my kids? And what am I prepared to own? What's mine to own? What's mine to seek help for? And how do I open that communication and be vulnerable with my kids around those things? Because we're not bad people. They're not bad kids. It's like we just fell into a cultural norm.
Yeah.
Right?
So true. Oh my goodness. Liezel,
So,
it's okay to have a bad parenting day. I have a lot of them often. And so now what's the status with the relationship now with your kids and how is it going? Is it?
It's, I was able to help him reach out last night
Okay.
and just, I then found an older friend of his. And so he spent the night with her and, she texted me and she said, everything's good. And I know he's going to be mad at me, but at this particular point in time, it's like, I'd rather you be mad at me than anything else. And, I'm going to try to encourage him to come home. And for us just to have those moments, and let's just like create a new slate and
start again. Yeah.
Yeah. And just you teach me and I'll share with you what I've learned. And we're still bonded. We're still bonded, even though you're a full ass grown up now,
Yeah. But I know he's missing his mom. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, he says it, but it's like also not okay to like then say, Mom, I need help, or Mom, I need your support, because we haven't made that okay.
Yep.
Right. So next week, I'll tell you what the update is.
And for listeners out there, can you just tell us more about My Teen Life Coach? You're not only coaching children, adolescents, you're working with parents as well.
Yeah. And
guide them and virtually as well. So we don't have to be in your state, but.
Absolutely. Yeah. You do not have to be in Georgia. And actually, this is timely because this Sunday on the 12th, I have a middle of the month meeting with moms.
Okay.
And they can just go on Eventbrite and they can just type in my name and it's just $20 and we'll spend an hour and a half and we'll have these real types of conversations where we can vent, we can talk. I can give research. I can give what the latest is. And then, of course, anybody can call me at 770-235-8202. You can go to the website at www.myteenlifecoach.com. And I'm so passionate about this, Jill. Like, I just feel this is our time,
Clearly, absolutely. And thank you for being here, for doing this. I know it's not easy. And what would you say to other parents out there going through the similar situation? We have to go through it and feel the hurt, the pain in order to.
You have to. We have to, just like they have to learn how to get through it. We can't come ourselves to it either. And it's through that growth that we can empathize with them and relay it to them, So I just want all parents to find that space to have the courage to be vulnerable and to be real with yourselves and to stop lying or defending your position. Just be real with it.
Oh, gosh. Thank you so much. All right. So myteenlifecoach.com, Liezel Lane. And where else can we find you on social media?
On Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok.
Yay.
I'm always like struggling with the whole TikTok thing. Thankfully, I have a good assistant that helps me with that. And LinkedIn, of course, you can definitely find me on LinkedIn.
All right. Thank you for sharing your story. I'm wishing you the best with your son and your family and everyone. And we'll get through. Okay.
We do every time.
You will. There'll be some monumental. We'll talk next week. I'm sure things are going to get better. All right. It can't get worse. So
go.
Only
Take
up
care
to
of
go.
you.
Thank you so much, hon. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.